University, but how long have you known Coach Tim Sinicki, and what was your first interaction with him like, and what do you remember from kind of your first season with him?
I came here in the fall of 1991, and I believe it was sometime that winter with our basketball season that I met Tim, because he was a sports writer at the Press and Sun Bulletin. So he actually came over to West Gym to cover our teams, and we met that way. And then when he was hired in the spring of '93 to start coaching, it was part of his arrangement to not have to teach phys ed classes, and in exchange, he had to work in my office. And so he was part of my stats crew and my PR crew for many years until we finally just let him just be a coach full time. So I actually, again, have known him 33 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you mentioned you kind of started maybe a little bit of an unorthodox path to becoming a coach, right, from writer to that. So what do you remember about those first couple of years where it was Division III baseball? It was, right, when you think of Binghamton athletics now, you think of baseball, but back then I'm presuming that was not the case. What do you remember from those first couple of years as he kind of built that program from, a kind of a perennial powerhouse in Division III?
I remember what a challenging time it was to be a baseball coach at that time. Our program had been struggling, and we were in the SUNYAC Conference. Cortland was king. We didn't get a lot of student athletes with sort of a natural athletic background, so recruiting was challenging. The field we had then, Tim mowed it himself. He manicured the infield himself. There was a lot of work early on for him to build the program to the point, and also without a reputation. He had a hard time. There were a couple years where we should have had a shot to get an NCAA Division III bid, but it went to Ithaca, it went to Rochester, it went to Cortland, sort of these established Division III programs in the region. And so he really had a big task in front of him to really start that program and get it ramped up, especially with Division I, with that move, coming 6 years into his time here.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned obviously the move from D3. You guys were in D2 for a handful of years, and then Division I. He was the coach through that entire thing. Can you just talk about the role that he played in that? Obviously, he didn't necessarily make that decision or anything like that, but the role he played in kind of keeping Binghamton a respectable program and a respectable school throughout that transition.
Well, what I've learned about Tim in 33 years of knowing him is that he knows the game of baseball inside and out, and he has a love for the game. And I think those elements, and again, this hard-working effort that he put in, day out, and the constant that he was over time, I think was what needed to be in place for us to be successful. And this work ethic that he had, that I think he learned from his parents and his Johnson City upbringing, and he brought all that to the table. And then you add to that the passion that he had and the way that he could work with the young student athletes and get the most out of them and demand the most, because he demands the most from himself. And so I think having someone with that pedigree and someone who's played the game at the highest level and who knows everything about it, that was pivotal for the move and the eventual success that we had Division I, because again, he knew all about that and the stability that he provided, in addition to just that grinded out passion that he has for the sport. That's exactly what we needed, and it's paid off in spades.
Mm-hmm. What were those first couple of years like in the America East when you guys were winning conference, regular season conference championships, but maybe not making the run into, I know you guys, it was 2009 was the first regional round. So those first couple of years, I know 2005 regular season championships where you guys were right there, 1 seed, 2 seed, but weren't able to kind of make it.
Well, I think much like a lot of our coaches have spoken about, and even AD Gene Marshall's talked about, there's something to that final step that's challenging. And if you have student athletes and staff people that are so close and they're chipping away, and yeah, those handful of years, 2005, 6, 7, 8, we were right on the doorstep and showing the strong play during the regular season, and just not quite getting there in the championship. And then breaking through in 09, I think that just kind of broke the ceiling. And then, again, you kind of athletes that realize, oh, wow, this is possible, and this is the level that it takes to get there. And again, the confidence that Tim has and that he portrays to those players, I think then made them all realize, oh, we can do this.
You mentioned obviously breaking that seal. Obviously you got to be unbiased. You got to want to root for every sport. But how cool is it every year to cover this baseball team, knowing that often the expectation is to be, if not the 1 seed or in the NCAA tournament, you're kind of always at that top of the conference. So how cool is it how excited, I guess, are you every single year to cover Binghamton University baseball, considering the fact that historically they're easily one of the better programs here?
As a support staff member, it's great. It's fantastic, and Tim has set this up so that we all can enjoy it. And I've gone to Stanford with the team and gone to Texas A&M and had some great road trips, some great memories. Even that first championship in 2009 at UE at 4 a.m. when we got through the rain and the sprinkler delay and the craziness there. Memorable beyond belief. And so I think what he's brought to the athletics department in particular has been these crowning achievements that some of the other programs are still striving for, and he's been there and he does it, and 18 championships in 11 years, so about every other year he's winning a title one way or another. So it's a remarkable pace, and we're all thankful for it.
Obviously, the $60 million facility opened up a handful of years ago. So there was an anonymous donor, but what does it say about Tim and the program that there are people out there who believe in, a Northeastern school, mid-major school, to donate that much money to help this program when, again, when you think of Binghamton University athletics, you don't think one of the best baseball facilities in the Northeast, but that is what it's become. What does it say about the established culture he's built that people are willing to do that?
Yeah, that incredible gift says a lot about Tim and the relationships that he's built and the confidence that people have in him being a good steward of the program. He would have been just fine without it. He was still grinding away. This is just almost I feel like it's a reward for the 20 years that he grinded out at a facility that was less than superior. And I think it's just a testament to who he is as a human being and a family guy and a leader of this department and that program, that he was afforded this incredible chance to finish out his career in such a great facility. And it's valuable for the university to have someone like this representing the university. And again, the relationships that he has with people are what make this happen. This just doesn't happen by chance. He has to instill that confidence and that trust and that one-on-one relationship that makes this gift possible.
What is, I guess, can you describe Tim's relationship with the Foley family, and what has Ed and Mike meant to Tim? I know obviously Ed coached Tim in high school. What has Ed meant to Tim really over the course of his entire life?
I think Ed has, if I can speak on behalf of Tim, and he's a better answer for this, but Ed's been a mentor for Tim. And again, just like family. And Tim had two wonderful parents that were role models for him. Ed's been something similar, and he knows the game, and I know how much they love to be together on road trips and rooming together and talking baseball. And Ed is so good at that because of his experience in the game that I know Tim has gleaned a lot from that experience with Ed. And he's leaned on him for quite a bit, and I'm sure Ed has also enjoyed that relationship too. It's been a special bond, those two, over 18 years. And I know Tim is going to miss having him in the dugout next to him. Yeah,
absolutely. Last question I'll have for you. Do you feel like, how has Tim changed as a person since you've known him for 33 years? Has winning softened him up a bit at all, or no?
I don't think he's changed at all. I think he, and don't let the quiet, very humble demeanor fool you. He is competitive as can be. I never saw him compete as an athlete in high school, but I've heard stories, baseball, basketball, football. A standout athlete. I've battled with him on the racquetball courts, and he is tough. And so he's so humble. He'll never tell you about what he's accomplished in this sport or any other sport, but he wants to win. He wants to win badly, and he knows what it takes to win. And so, he fools a lot of people with that casual, that little wry smile, but he's tough, and he's a fiery guy.
All right, cool. John, was there anything that you wanted to mention that maybe I forgot about?
I would just say what's always impressed me about Tim over the years is, again, so humble, willing to do anything for anybody. He's a great friend, he's a great colleague, and he's a family man. He loves and cherishes his wife and his 3 children, and they are always around him and at the stadium and with him as much as possible. And he's really just a role model for all of us, for his student athletes. He keeps in touch with them, and they know he's a big part of their lives. He's really just someone we all have looked up to over the years, and it's nice that he's finally getting the accolades that he truly deserves, because he's an outstanding, if not, soft-spoken guy. But as I said, he's got a fire in him, and it's fun to see that come out.